Okay, hello everyone. I want to wish you a happy National Drone Safety Awareness Week.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for joining us for our mini conference. As you saw on the agenda, we'll basically have 4 mini talks or lightning talks, focusing on what you need to know to fly legally, since we have Diana on with us. Being legal and safe is very important. So what do you need to know to fly legally and safely as a recreational drone flyer? And also, what do you need to do if you want to fly legally as a commercial drone flyer? And then Ken and I will also talk about what our schools, being Palomar College and Southwestern College, are doing in terms of preparing students for the workforce, the drone workforce. And then one of our colleagues, Mark Bilo, will be talking about what types of applications and technologies are being used for basically from anything going from utility pole inspections to precision agriculture. And then lastly, we'll conclude with interactive Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout our lightning talks, please write them down, and then we can do the interactive Q&A afterwards. Okay, so my name is Wing Cheung. I'm a professor of geography and geographic information systems at Palomar College, and I also am a co-founder of the drone technology program at Palomar College. So Ken, do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, thanks, Wing. So my name's Ken Yano. I'm professor of geographical sciences at Southwestern College, which is in South Bay, San Diego. I'm the director and originator of the drone program at Southwestern College, and it's relatively young. We've been around for about a year. We've offered the courses twice. It would have been third if not for the pandemic. But our program's interesting and lots of similarities with Wings and some differences as well. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of that information with you as we progress in this conversation.
And then we also have Sean Fig.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sean Fig. I am a professor of geology at Palomar College. I'm also one of the co-contributors to the drone program. I focus a lot on the Part 107 exam, the remote pilot certification exam. And I'm excited that you're all here today. Thanks for being here.
Great. So why don't we start with our first lightning talk with Ken, talking about what do recreational drone flyers need to know?
Yeah, thanks, Wing. So, as many of us know, the drone industry as an industry is incredibly young. And previous to that, recreational drone flying was occurring, but that also is pretty young. And these relatively high-tech flying machines that are relatively powerful, fairly quick, and a lot of people flying them in terms of recreation and hobby, it sort of had become the wild, wild west of drone flying. I mean, anybody can go down to Fry's, go on Amazon, and buy an aircraft with the capacity of going 30 to 40 miles per hour, flies really, really well, not like the early days JI with their Phantom, which was really wobbly and unstable. Now you've got these really pristine flyings that virtually anyone can fly, but there is no real hard, fast rules and regulations associated with recreational drone flying, or at least rules and regulations that people were certainly unaware of. And so in this little conversation, I just wanted to chat about some of the rules and regulations associated with recreational flying. And this basically stems from the FAA's reauthorization bill of 2018. And these are rules for how, when, and where you can fly your drone for recreational purposes. And by the way, we've all heard the horror stories of a fire occurring and a drone getting in the way of a helicopter because somebody wanted to take cool photos of a fire. So this reauthorization bill and these rules and regulations associated with that kind of recreational flying really has a foundation in safety. So we sort of want to keep that in mind. So first, you have to register your drone with the FAA and mark the registration on the drone. Cost is $5. $5, by the way, will register all of your drones. So whether you have one or 10, I mean, if you're a really high-end hobbyist, $5 and you can register all of them. Fly for only recreational purposes, i.e. you can't make money off of it. If you wanted to use your drone for commercial use, you are no longer a recreational flyer. You're going to have to get your Part 107, and Sean will speak to that shortly. You must fly at or below 400 feet above ground when in Class G airspace, which is the uncontrolled airspace. And by the way, this is the same rule for someone who's a commercial flyer. You have to obtain your authorization before flying in controlled space, which is your Class B, C, D, and E. And if you're unaware of these different classes, and these are things you're going to have to look up, but when I say that, this is going to lead to something else in our conversation very shortly. So keep that in mind if you're unaware of what airspaces are. Visual line of sight must be maintained. You or your partner who is with you must always have an eye on Earth. No night flying unless your drone has proper lighting. And you can get proper lighting if you've got a DJI product, whether it's a Mavic or a Phantom, or you've got your Autels now, you can get additional lights to put on these drones if you wanted to try to do some nighttime photography, for example. You must give way to and not interfered with manned aircraft. No flying over a person or moving vehicle. Never interfere with emergency response activities. No flying under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And by the way, this even extends to over-the-counter product, because anything that could impair you is something that you don't want to be doing. And of course, no reckless flying. These are all common sense items within the reauthorization bill for a recreational flyer. The next question is, how does anybody know what you can do or what you don't do? Well, the law also requires recreational drone operators to now pass an online aeronautical knowledge test. And you got to carry that proof of test passage with you. I say the test, you got to carry it with you, but the test is not available yet. So if you're a recreational flyer, you've got a little bit of time where you can recreational fly before you have to take this test and carry this proof of test passage with you. The knowledge test itself is being developed in 3 phases: test content, and the FAA with input from drone stakeholders is developing the test content. The FAA is also looking for input from the drone community to develop test requirements for test administrators. So what's unique about this hobby test compared to a Part 107 is, if you want to take a Part 107 exam, you've got to go to an FAA location and take the test at that FAA location. FAA doesn't want to get inundated with hundreds of thousands of flying hobbyists. So what they're looking for now are test administrators at a variety of different locations. Wing and I could be test administrators for respective institutions in the future once the drone community develops particular requirements to allow us, for example, to be test administrators. Ultimately, the FAA is going to select those test administrators. And so the question becomes, who's been invited to provide input in this process? Well, FAA ran a referral for information, and a number of institutions applied to provide input. And I've got some of the main ones on the list here that you can see. Embry-Riddle University has been around for a very long time. They were probably one of the first to offer remote learning of drone technology, where the students actually have to purchase their own drone, take video footage of what they're doing, send it into the instructor, and then that's how they get graded. But they've been doing this for quite a while. You see DJI is on this list also, which might be a little bit confusing since there's been so much news about DJI and about its relationship with the United States and how FAA is viewing DJI. But there could be some idea of having the recreational components of an exam found within a DJI app. And if you open up a DJI app now, there's, for example, practice test questions that you might see on an FAA exam. And so having a partnership with DJI makes a fair amount of sense. You've got Unmanned Safety Institute has been around for a while, SAIC also. So a number of institutions are providing input into this whole process with the FAA. So some final comments regarding the test, and let's look at the very bottom one first. And the question, of course, is why is the FAA doing this? Well, as I mentioned, there's horror stories of recreational flyers getting into a lot of trouble. Safety is incredibly paramount. So the idea that even hobbyists have to take and pass some type of an exam can only be a good thing, right? So you pass this exam, you've understood some safety measures, you understand the idea of airspace, controlled and uncontrolled, you just become a smart, safer flyer. That ultimately is what the FAA and the drone community can ask for. Going back to the top from the recommendations, the FAA will develop the final requirements that potential test administrators must meet. The test must be administered electronically by the FAA, community-based organizations, or others designated by the FAA. So this is going to be nice. It should be quick. It should be seamless. If you ask me a question about what will the cost of a hobbyist exam, what is it going to be? I don't have a 100% answer. My presumption is it'll probably be nothing. If there's a cost associated with it, it might be just a simple cost of administrating the examination. This is unlike the Part 107, where the Part 107 is a $150 fee to take the test, and that lasts for 2 years. So the next one is, do you have to take the hobbyist exam after 2 years or after 3 years? I don't think that's been established yet either. But as more information comes out, the FAA has been really quite good at delivering and disseminating information. So we'll have to keep that in mind as time goes on, but it's always something to keep our eyes on. Okay, so that's what's going on right now with recreational flyers, rules and regulations for recreational flyers, and a forthcoming exam. What I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen and hand this off to Sean, who is going to talk to us about commercial requirements for drone flying.
Well, just one quick comment, Ken.
Yep.
Based on some of the information that we got from attending the UAS symposium hosted by FAA, some people did ask, when do they think the exam will be available? And then very unofficial answer from the FAA is that exam will probably be available sometime in December or later, but don't quote me on that. But that's just a very unofficial answer.
Yeah, that's unofficial. And to put this in a little bit of perspective, the exam itself, the test administrating locations, those were initially scheduled to be around fall 2020. So I think COVID got in the way of a lot of stuff. I think just the infrastructure of developing something like this got in the way of a lot of stuff. I think legislation got in the way of some stuff as well. But we do have Diane on the line, and maybe she could give a little bit more of a concrete answer. Or
I wish I could say concrete answer, but it's similar. We're hearing the same thing within the support and outreach center, which I'm going to actually link that email address so that when you all do have those questions, you know, just to zip them an email. But we're hearing the end of December.
Thank you, Diana. Okay, so let's move on to Sean so we don't steal some of his time for the Part 107.
All right. Share my screen there. Can everybody see my PowerPoint? Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Cool.
I can.
Excellent. So I'm going to transition to the next round here. Ken talked about the recreational. I'm going to start discussing some of the aspects of commercial flyers. There is quite a bit of overlap, especially with the new exam coming for recreational flyers, but there's some extra steps here. All right, first, commercial flying. What is the basis of it? Well, you're not flying just for fun. You're actually being compensated. And a big aspect of that is, by receiving any compensation, right? So most of the time we're thinking money, right? A company hires you, you do the operation, you give them the imagery and the data, and they pay you. But the key word there is any compensation. So it could be you do a favor for a neighbor because they have some beautiful landscaping. You give them the images, and let's say they repay you, or as a favor, they give you football tickets in exchange. That is still a form of compensation. So that would still be considered commercial flying. The other aspect of commercial flying is that pilots need to pass the remote pilot certification, more commonly known as the Part 107. Right, to become a commercial pilot, here are your basic eligibility that you must meet. You must be at least 16 years of age, read, write, and speak and understand the English language, right? And be in physical and mental health, capable of completing these operations and flying the machinery. So if you meet those basic elements, you can go ahead and set yourself up for the Part 107, and I'll get into exactly what steps you need to take to register for your exam. All right, 3 main things as you're thinking about the Part 107 or getting ready to become a commercial pilot. One is obtain an FAA tracking number by creating an iActro profile. This can be done at any time, but it is suggested you get this done early. Because once you create this profile, your information, including your tracking number, and actually your pilot certificate number will be stored on this website. Second thing is probably the main and the bulk of it is studying for your Part 107 exam. There are multiple resources out there to help you study, such as the class that we offer at Palomar College and at Southwestern, the 158 Rules and Regulations, shameless plug. But there are other resources out there as well, right? There are plenty of practice questions and samples available just by doing a quick Google search. There's interactive things now. Back when I first took the Part 107, our entire guidebook was just a giant PDF we had to print out, but there are a lot of options available now, including some cell phone apps. The next step is to register for your exam, and that is done through a website, FAA and PSI exams. New this year is you actually have to create an account profile with PSI exams. Once you create the profile, you can select the test you want to take, and it will show you options for nearby testing locations. For those of us in the Southern California area or in our area of Palomar College, there's 2 or 3 of them right down by Palomar Airport. So it's not too difficult to find a nearby location and testing center. The cost for the exam is $116. So make sure you study. You don't want to have to pay that one twice. If you do take the exam and fail, you have to wait a minimum of 2 weeks before you can attempt the exam again. There is a time period. All right, so studying for the Part 107, here's the major breakdowns. The ones on the left, right? Drone and airport operations is probably the #1 heaviest hitter on the exam. Rules and regulations and airspace. As you can see in our image down here, you will definitely need to know all of the airspace classes because that's a big part of being a commercial pilot and coming up as a recreational pilot. Where and when and how can you operate in these airspaces correctly? The thing about the Part 107 is it is tricky. When you study and you put the time in, it's not too difficult, but the wording is very tricky on the exam. So make sure you slow down, take your time, and read each question carefully. The Part 107 is also not all-encompassing. You will have a good idea and a more in-depth idea of the federal regulations, but you still have to research any local and state and local regulations before you fly. Ken mentioned this as well, is you have to register your drone. Again, you spot on, cost is $5, not per drone, sorry, I messed that one up. But the other big thing is where you register is through the FAA drone zone. And this is a big thing to keep in mind because this is where you will submit to acquire a waiver for certain flight operations. And you'll also report any accidents or incidents that occur when you fly. Waivers, one of the biggest things that commercial pilots need to know is about waivers. So if you want to fly or complete an operation right in or near certain airspace classes, if you want to fly at night, can have that whole list of material, you can complete these operations, but it does require filling out a waiver through the FAA drone zone. The waivers need to be extremely detailed, right? You need to have a ton of information in there, very detailed and thought out answers for the waiver process. Incomplete or non-detailed ones are going to get dismissed without a second look. The waiver process can take 90 days for approvals. Occasionally it gets done faster than that, which is fantastic. Sometimes they have a backlog and it takes beyond 90 days. So if you're planning an operation that requires a waiver, make sure to get it in well ahead of time. Once you're a commercial pilot, you will have certain materials that if an FAA representative asks for, that you will have to provide, right? You'll always need to fly with your actually remote pilot certification, right? Your license that you get, but you also need to be able to provide flight logs and maintenance logs. So if you have an incident, the FAA might request your logs and you have to be able to provide them. Ken mentioned as well about the registration number that does need to be visible on the drone. And a recent change to that rule is it has to be easily visible. Some previous flyers were taking the registration number and putting it in the battery compartment so it was covered. That is no longer allowed. It needs to be visible on the outside of the drone. One of the biggest things coming up for future materials for commercial pilots is the idea of a remote ID. And that is, a remote ID is the ability of an unmanned aircraft in flight to provide certain identification and location information that people on the ground and other airspace users can use. So basically your drone's gonna have, right, a GPS on it that is gonna broadcast to people on the ground and other users of the airspace. That is, again, to promote safety, to have everything as safe as possible. So other aircraft can be notified that your drone is in the air. Some people are kind of nervous about this because, again, they feel like they're being tracked all the time, but it is for safety. The primary aspect is for safety of aircraft. Once you pass your Part 107 exam, you are not done, right? You need to retake or recertify yourself as a commercial pilot every 2 years. And this is done by taking the recurrent Part 107 exam. This is a bit shorter, right? It's less questions, less time, but the plus side is you don't have to look at the questions with weather or loading performance. So a little bit less to study for. So for instance, I got my Part 107 in October of 2016. I had to take the recurrent exam in 2018, and I just took another recurrent exam in October of 2020, so just last month. Interesting part about the recurrent exam is you have the entire month to take it. So my pilot's license said it expired on October 2nd. Right? But I had through the month of October to complete my recurrent exam. And that is it. Do I have any, see if I have any questions in the chat, which I can't seem to access to right now. Some other stuff. Cool. That is all I have then. I'll turn it back over to Wayne. Wing, you're muted.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Sean. So Diana posted some useful information in the chat window. Thank you. If you have any questions, there's the FAA number and also the FAA email. And I also want to just talk about LANS, or the low altitude authorization and notification capability. Some of you may have heard about this, right? Let's say if you live near an airport, right, but you want to fly your drones in the park in your neighborhood. LANS may or may not allow you to do that. Whether you're flying under the Part 107, like what Sean just talked about, or whether you're flying as a recreational flyer, like what Ken talked about, you can still use LANS. And let me just put this in the chat window here. So as you can see in this graphic, it's pretty simple. Let's say if you're using an app like AirMap to plan your flight routes, and you happen to be in a controlled airspace, like nearby an airport, what the USS or like AirMap would do is it will ask you for your flight plan and then check it against, right, the FAA airspace database, and also the FAA's UAS data exchange, for example, to see what other drones are flying in the area. And based on those information, the service supplier like AirMap can give you instantaneous feedback, whether it's an instantaneous approval or denial based on the FAA information, as well as other parameters like how high are you going to be operating, what altitude you're going to be operating, and also maybe what is the weight of your drone and the speed that you'll be operating and the area that you'll be operating. So another resource I also want to point out is this here. Let me paste that, which is the facility map, the UAS facility map created by the FAA. And you can see right here, we have Palomar Airport. And you can see all these numbers that say 0, meaning that basically if you're in these areas, these gridded areas, the maximum height or maximum altitude that you can operate at is 0, meaning you really can't operate a drone. But if you look at these other areas, that has the number 50, for example, if you live here, right, even though you're close to the airport, but the ceiling or the maximum altitude that you can operate your drone is at 50 feet above ground. So, but if you want to operate, you still need to submit a request through LANS, the LANS system that I just talked about, so that you'll be in the database as to what time, what altitude you'll be operating. And if you, for example, entered in that system that you operate at 100 feet above ground, you're going to get an instant denial, because you can see here in the facility map, the ceiling, considering where you are, is 50 feet above ground. So yeah, you may want to look at this facility, this UAS facility map, to see whether you can operate drone and what is the maximum ceiling or altitude that you can operate your drone, considering where you are. And then submit a request through LANS by using one of these USS or UAS service suppliers. Did I get that right, Sean and Ken?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so let me continue. Let me stop the share and share my other screen. Great. So I'm just going to talk quickly about what we're doing at Palomar College to prepare our students for the workforce. And as I've talked about already, my name is Wing Cheung. I am at Palomar College. And on this slide, you're seeing some pictures of some of the things that we do at Palomar College to engage with industry and also the professional community. The 3 pictures here are from our drone conference, or DroneCon, in 2018, where we had about 300 people attending, and students as well as professionals from the industries, as well as interested community members gathered to hear from a number of speakers from different fields like forensic investigation or agriculture or mapping and surveying or conservation to see how they use drones in their business. And then in the upper right-hand corner is from National Science Foundation sponsored conference in Washington, DC, where two of our students, Gerardo and Michaela, presented on their drone work that they did for their classes. So the overarching mission of the drone program at Palomar College is really to educate tomorrow's drone entrepreneurs and drone professionals. And a brief history of our program is we go as far back as 2015, where we first conceived and developed these drone courses that we're still teaching and is part of our certificate program that I'll talk about in the next slide. And you can see in 2016 is when we offered our classes, and in 2017 is when we offered our certificate in drone operations. And we were awarded a grant from the National Science Foundation also that year to help us expand on the courses that we offer and also to create an associate's degree in drone applications and technologies, which we offered starting in 2018. And in that same year, we were also fortunate enough to be selected as a partner on the City of San Diego's application to the FAA's Integration Pilot Program. And in 2018, we also started offering a drone summer camp to teach high school students about drone technology and how to work with drone data. And we also hosted a number of faculty development workshops to teach our colleagues from other departments like biology or environmental science or waste management about how drones can be used in their fields to try to get them to excite their students about what drones can do in those areas. And then this year, just earlier this year, we were selected or accepted into the FAA's new UAS Collegiate Training Initiative program. So a lot of different things happening. And so to give you an overview of the different education options that students can pursue at Palomar College, you can see here they can pursue a certificate in drone operations and complete that in as little as 2 semesters by taking 6 classes, which teach them things like how to use drones to do aerial surveys and mapping and to do drone videos and video editing. And then we also teach them how to analyze the drone data and process that drone data. And there's also curriculum in that drone certificate that prepares them, like what Sean mentioned earlier, the class that he teach, that prepares them to take the Part 107 or remote pilot certificate exam so that they can become a commercial drone pilot. And in all of our drone classes, we have embedded these service learning projects, which requires students to work or encourage students to work with community organizations to implement or apply what they have learned in the classroom to solve real world problems. Now, for students that are interested in going beyond the certificate, they can choose to go for the associate's degree, which basically require them to take additional classes right on top of those that they have already taken for the certificate. So this associate's degree in drone applications and technology can be completed in 4 semesters by taking 10 classes, which is really just 4 classes above the 6 classes that they already took for the certificate, as well as complete the general education requirements by Palomar College. And what they'll learn from the associate's degree on top of those areas that I already mentioned for the certificate is in the associate's degree, the students will also be required to do an internship with an outside organization. They will be required to take these entrepreneurship and marketing classes that will prepare them to start their own drone business. And they can also choose from a variety of electives. They have to pick 2 from fields such as engineering, marketing, LiDAR, and other subject area, depending on what particular industry sector do they want to focus their drone business or focus their drone work in. And as you can see in this graphic, in addition to completing the certificate or associate's degree at Palomar, what students can do after that is they can like what you see in number 3 here, start their own drone business or join the drone workforce, or they can use the courses that they have taken at Palomar towards a bachelor's degree in business management at National University, because we have agreement with National University so that they will accept some of the drone classes that students have taken for the drone program at Palomar. Or similarly, these students can take their coursework and apply it towards a bachelor's degree in GIS, Geographic Information Systems, which is basically computer mapping, or geography with Arizona State University's online campus. So since the title of this talk is how we interact with industry, I want to get back on track here and look at what have we done with the drone industry, at least in our local region, in order to make sure that we are adequately preparing our students for the workforce. And the way we did this is through something called a DACUM, which stands for Developing a Curriculum. And it's a focus group methodology that we implemented. And this focus group that we implemented occurred in March 2019, where we recruited 12 industry professionals representing a number of different fields that are currently using drones in the local San Diego area. And so it covers areas like archaeology, construction, inspection, utilities, defense, homeland security, GIS and surveying, law enforcement. So you can see there's a broad range of industry represented in this DACUM focus group. And this is very important because they tell us, right, if our students who graduate from our program were to apply for entry position as a drone operations technician in their organization, what kind of skills do those students need to know, or what kind of skills are those students expected to have? So the DACUM basically allows us to capture the major duties, tasks, knowledge, skills, traits, tools, and related information for a specific occupation. In this particular case, the specific occupation that we're looking at is drone operations technician, because that's what we're training our students to be. And so this is a photo from that DACUM focus group that I just mentioned. And you can see all the little papers up here are basically the duties and tasks that were identified and agreed upon by these industry professionals that we have invited to the focus group. And so to just give you a quick preview of the results, because I'll give you the link to access the results very soon, there are 6 major duties that were identified as areas that our students need to know. 1 is plan the UAS operation. 2, prepare for the UAS operation, perform the UAS flight, perform UAS post-flight procedures, maintain the UAS, and maintain professional proficiency. Now you may ask, right, what is involved in maintaining the UAS, or what is involved in performing the UAS flights? So that's where we dove deeper and asked our industry professionals to identify for us what are the different tasks that belongs in each of those 6 duties that we just talked about in the last slide. So to give you an example, right, one of the duties is plan the UAS operations. And within that duty, right, students are expected to know how to interpret the airspace, plan flight routes, identify mission accuracy needs, develop emergency contingency plans, and many more tasks that belongs to this particular duty. So if you want to see the whole DACUM chart with all of the duties and all of the tasks that go with each duty, you can go to this URL, which I'll also paste later in the chat window. Now, in addition to identifying those duties and tasks, we also ask our participants, where do they see the drone industry going? What are general knowledge that they expect their workers to know? Things like, right, being punctual or being reliable. And also, what are other specialized skills that they expect our students to know? So there are lots of information on these DACUM charts, especially if you're looking at, right, going into the UAS field as a worker, or even if you're an employer and trying to craft a post, right, in hiring an entry-level UAS or drone technician. So thank you for your attention. And now I'll turn it over to Ken, who will talk a little bit about the program at Southwestern College. Ken?
Thanks, Wing. I actually do have a graphic I can show you all. I didn't think I did, but then I remembered I was on my own computer. I could probably pull one up. So let me just show you a quick graphic of Southwestern College's drone program. And, you know, I won't go into grotesque detail on the curriculum because it's fairly similar to Palomar College's. We developed the curriculum based upon the DACOM as well. What our program is, however, are 2 certificates. We don't have an associate's degree. And, oops, I'm sorry, let me play that again. We don't have an associate's degree. We have 2 certificates. One is a certificate of proficiency and the other is a certificate of achievement. And within those 2 certificates, there's core courses. And the major core courses would be Geography 108, which is our introduction to drones. It's a hybrid course. Students learn concepts essentially via online, and then they fly face-to-face, hands-on flight training. And then we have a 1-unit Geography 107 course, which is our Part 107 ground school, 1 unit completely online. Those are the core courses that make up the proficiency. And then have a long laundry of electives that students choose from. It could be digital photography, film management, geology, landscape design, motion picture editing. One would think is associated with a drone. Students can take that extra class and that would be their elective. If they chose a certificate of achievement, then the core courses, we add a mapping and GIS class, a remote sensing course, intro to business, and then we ask them to take 1 elective as well, which could be image analysis, digital imaging, photography, etc. So the core courses in the achievement program get close to becoming the associate's program at Palomar, but we don't have the additional credits required for an associate's degree. And I do want to highlight one other thing, that with the certificate of achievement, the majority of the classes are online. The only one that's not is the predominant or the primary drone course 108, because we really want to have that hands-on stick flying. And in addition to that, the Geography 108 and the Geography 107 courses are now going to be offered as, as non-credit classes. So students will be able to take the courses essentially for free. What we found out in our program is there's a core number of students who want the credit, who want the certificate to show a transcript. Some of them, by the way, some of the students are transferring, for example, to San Diego State, and we're working with articulation, Wing and I, so that some of our courses articulate directly with San Diego State. But then we found that other students are coming to the program. They want to simply learn how to fly a drone commercially and safely. And a lot of those students don't care about academic credits. They just want the training. So by opening the courses as non-credit courses as well as for-credit courses, we believe that we're addressing the needs of our particular community. Just to give you one very quick example, we had a father-daughter team who were taking our drone courses for their specific business. They owned a real estate company together, and they wanted to learn how to fly a drone to take imagery of the landscape, just to make their job and their company better. They didn't need the college credits. They just wanted the training. So again, by offering non-credit, we're once again able to really satisfy the needs of our communities. And if you have any interest in Southwestern College and what we're doing, I put a link in the chat room, or feel free to email me directly and I'll be happy to send you all of the information that we have. Okay, let me stop sharing here. All right, Wing, let me hand it back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ken. So now let's hear from Mark Velo, who is one of our colleagues who teach mainly the drone operations classes, and he's also a professor in graphics communications. So he also teaches video editing as well as Photoshop. And he's going to talk about how drones, different types of drones and different types of sensors are used for different commercial applications. So let me go ahead and do that. Oh. Let me try that again.
I'll start off with a real quick video for you guys. Just a minute and a half, so take a look.
Is the sound okay, everyone?
I'm not receiving audio. There we go. It's jerky.
Over the last few years, a number of reports from government agencies and private foundations have pointed to the explosive growth of commercial small unmanned aircraft systems, or drones, and the need for trained operators. In order to meet this need, the UAS TEP project was developed. This project, funded by a grant from the National Science Foundation, is a collaboration between various faculty members here at Palomar College, some of our colleagues at Southwestern College, and various industry and academic partners. As part of this project, new courses, in addition to complete certificate and degree programs, were developed. These courses and materials were created with guidance and contributions from industry professionals and military veterans. This project also has supported activities such as community outreach, professional development workshops for educators, and summer camps for high school students. The unifying goal of these project activities is to excite students about career pathways to industries utilizing this technology, while promoting a culture of responsible operators ready to launch their careers.
So yeah, I'm a faculty member at Palomar College. We start off with simple quads, small ones to train up our students on the use, the operation, and then move up to larger units based on various projects. So everything progresses from the simple side to more complex as they move along. Our heavy lifter actually just came in. So we just got a Matrice 600 with a LiDAR unit. It's like an $85,000 purchase. So I'm excited to get my hands on that. I haven't been able to because COVID has made it to where we can't be on campus right now. So as soon as they relax that restriction, I have a new toy to play with. We also have some fixed wing units and VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. Easy with the VTOLs to get them off the ground and keep them going. Sometimes the fixed wing ones, we have a little issue with trying to land and maintain a nice, sturdy, operable unit from that time forward. We have various camera sensors and various payloads that we'll put on our drones based on the different projects. So if we're doing a video project or something photography related, we often will choose interchangeable lenses. Or if we're doing a multispectral job, trying to do vegetation indices, things like that. For precision agriculture, we'll use a multispectral camera mounted to one of our birds and put it up in the air. So examples, precision agriculture, either just doing RGB shots or doing multispectral imagery, as we're trying to train up our students in as many different aspects of industry as we can. Getting the LiDAR unit is going to be really exciting because it's going to expand what we're able to do with our program. So we're really excited about utilizing that. And also thermal cameras for doing inspections for public safety or search and rescue kind of processes. Our new one's going to get on order, so we have a much larger unit coming in, higher resolution. So I'm excited about that. Always excited to get new gear. Palomar College, we're also part of the San Diego IPP program for the FAA, along with places like Chula Vista. So a lot of things they've been doing is trying to overcome or safely operate within the beyond visual line of sight, as they've been employing drones in crime fighting throughout the city. A lot of really good statistics. They're doing really well with that program, so we're excited to see what they've been able to accomplish. Another one down here in San Diego will be Uber Eats. They delivered a McDonald's burger last summer. We're looking for a lot more coming up this summer, but actually it'd probably be a lot safer in the COVID era to have things delivered. So Uber Eats is another one, then along with UCSD. They're trying to deliver different specimens or whatnot from one location to another location down in there, right by UC San Diego. We have various other applications that we try and teach our students about. This would be an example of former low resolution on the top section of this, satellite imagery, and then drone related data on the bottom, much higher resolution. Through that, we're able to do things like flood hazard modeling. This is down in La Paz, Mexico. So mapping the area, getting 3D models by the use of photogrammetry software to generate the 3D elements, and then we could take that into simulation programs and try and see where might a flood hazard occur. Even if you have current water structures, like say a dam up on the hill, if that were to break, we could figure out where would that go and where would the impact be, and then try and create diversions to minimize the destruction force that may cause. Also in construction, this particular example is kind of humorous to me. There was a company that was buying some gravel from the main construction site, and so they said, yeah, no problem. They agreed on a price per cubic yard, but the company stated that they only took 1,500 cubic yards, whereas the company felt, no, you actually took 3,000, so there's a discrepancy there. But since they had drone data through the volumetrics created through the photogrammetry process, they were able to show them, no, you actually owe us for an extra 1,328 cubic yards, so almost $24,000 that they would have not had. So the use of drones in construction to do various aspects. We have alumni. I want to highlight a couple real quick. Isaac, so a veteran, a fine student, went through our program. So some details about him. I'll let you scan through that. Some of the highlights, just transitioning from the military, getting his education and furthering in the drone technology. And actually, he's got some exciting things that I don't know if I could really say anything about right now. It might be a secret until it comes through, so I'll hold off on that. And then Michelle. Michelle was one of our students, and then we find that there's a lot of we have lower numbers of females in certain populations in very technology heavy fields like drone technology, and so it was nice to have someone like her come through. We market a lot to try and bring that population up. So a little more details about her, and then finally, if you want to find more details about what we do, we have a certificate that was described in the video for 1 year if you want to do that, or associate's degrees for 2 years. And then tinyurl.com/Palomar drone will get you to more information. And we disseminate all of our curriculum through the UAS TEP website. So through that NSF funded grant, we're able to do that.
Okay, great. Well, so that's a little bit from our colleague, Professor Mark Bilo. Now, I just want to show you another quick video made by one of the alumni that he highlighted, Michelle, who has gone on to start her own company. And in this video, she'll go over some of the areas that her company focused on, as well as you can see some of the projects that she has worked on. Okay, let's see here.
Hello, thanks, Wing. My name is Michelle Palmer, and my company is Aerial Fleet. We're located here in Carlsbad, California, and I'll just kind of give you a brief rundown of some of the services that we do. I'll show 2 really short videos of some of the services that we provide, and I will then pass it over to Isaac. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to talk about some of the ways that we utilize drones to help companies collect aerial data to verify work, manage operations, and help them fully document projects. As I mentioned, my company is called Aerial Fleet. We are a small woman-owned company located in Carlsbad, California. All of our pilots are Part 107, and we are licensed and insured. My name is Michelle Palmer. I started my drone career at Palomar College. I took 2 of their digital imaging drone classes, and while I was taking those classes, I obtained my FAA Part 107 commercial drone pilot license. I work with Palomar still, and we tend to work mostly with construction companies and conservation groups, but we also do marketing videos. And this is the construction video that we have, just kind of showcasing some of the things that we can do for construction sites. And this image right here is part of a orthomosaic. I zoomed into this particular region just to show you how high resolution an image of this is. And so as you can see, you can even count the tiles here on this roof. And so these maps are really useful in construction companies where you can use them to estimate measurements and volumes. They can overlay as built versus as design plans, and you can monitor the progress of the entire site. And this is a marketing video that we did for a local vineyard.
We have a pair of red-tailed hawks that this is their territory. Hello, my name's Ed Embley. My wife and I own the winery and vineyard here. We call it Hungry Hawk Vineyards and Winery. We're located just to the southeast of downtown Escondido, out by the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. We got started here in the wine business, planting grapes in 2009. We have close to 5 acres of vineyard planted. In 2005, we finished the construction of our winery building, and also that same year we became a bonded winery. We specialize in Bordeaux and Spanish varietals. We grow 5 different white varietals and 10 different red varietals. The wines will be settled, clarified, put into a barrel, and they'll remain in a barrel room for usually from 18 to 23 months. It's really an aging process, and our barrel room, we have a capacity of about 60 barrels. Some of our more noted wines, just this year, I know our Cab Franc, which was a 2015, was awarded the best Cab Franc of a winemaker's challenge down in San Diego. We usually do smaller batches of different wines. If a wine is on the tasting menu, normally it's not on it more than a month to 60 days. For just a afternoon getaway on Fridays and Saturday and Sunday, coming into our tasting room and having a glass of wine, and just relaxing. We have a great view of the safari park out to our east, and it's really a very enjoyable atmosphere for anybody who would like to stop by.
And if you're interested in any of those services that I showed, please don't hesitate to reach out. Our website is aerialfleet.com. My email address is mpalmer@aerialfleet.com. And our phone number is 760-448-5855. Hello. Thanks, Wing. My name is Michelle Palmer. And
Okay, great. Oh, well, at this point, I wish I can say, well, everyone, you're welcome to join me for our reception at the Hungry Hawk Winery. Unfortunately, because of COVID and this being virtual, we're not going to be doing that. So
Bummer.
I think now we can do our Q&A. Are there any questions for any of us?
Well, I actually have a question at Diana. I don't know if she's still around.
Oh, Diana is not here, but I can pretend.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, wait. Oh, Diana is here. We have two Dianas. And
so yeah, I was actually Sean's student a couple of years ago, and I passed his class. Woohoo! And I actually, my recurrent knowledge test, I'm going to have to take it next month. But there are a few things that I take issue with the new laws that the FAA has, but that this isn't the forum. But I do have one specific question about the getting your registration number for each drone. And I'm specifically looking at the recreational FPV drones, the ones that you build. I'd like to get her comments on, because typically you fly those things, they crash, you might rebuild them in a different manner. They don't have serial numbers. I mean, even though I register one, it could be a different frame or different components, different weight. I mean, what does she recommend?
Yeah, so I don't know if you want me to
Re-register
do
yet
that first,
again?
Diana, or do you want to answer it? Because I think, do you want me to try to answer it first, Diana? I don't want to put you on the spot. Oh wait, I think Diana's frozen. So I guess I'll start answering it.
Okay.
So I think there's the distinction between the recreational flyer and commercial flyer.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. For recreational flyer, you only need to pay the $5 fee for all the drones that you own.
Well, that's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's how I took it. But then Sean's last slide, one of his slides, I'm thinking, well, maybe I had some the information has changed, because he said on
No,
one
that was
slide
that
it
was my
said
fault.
recreational. It said recreational and Part 107, every drone. And so I thought maybe my information wasn't updated. So that's why I'm asking the question. What about those FPV drones?
Yeah, I think Sean mentioned in this talk that that was a typo on his slide.
Yeah,
Oh,
yep.
I missed that. Okay.
Yeah, it's still recreational flyer, just registered
One number.
themselves. Yeah, and then they just tag their number onto as many drones they want. And then if you're a commercial pilot, then
Yeah.
you have to register each of your drone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay.
Did I get that
missed
right,
that.
I am not afraid. I'm not afraid to answer. I'm having like internet connection issues. It's been one of those days as far as computer. So did you answer, or were you comfortable with the answer?
Yeah, I missed that. He said he made a mistake on the slide. So
sorry.
that's cool.
Yeah, so Diana, I basically answered that for recreational flyer. They register themselves, and they can put that number on as many drones as they want. And for commercial flyer, they register each drone that they have.
Per drone, that's correct. And where we have these shows, you have I would say DRL, they're more racing, but where they actually have multiple drones, they still have to register every single one of those drones. We're trying to figure out, that's one thing I can tell you about our group, is we're trying to address those issues, from BB loss, to many other things. But the big takeaway, I hope today, and that you all pointed out well, and thank you, you all did a great job, is register that drone, because that's an issue. Also, those that have their recreational flyer, we have like 900,000 that are expiring next month. And you're going to be hearing some information about that, and just kind of follow where, if you're a recreational flyer, where you fit into that, because we want to make sure that you are recurrent. Also, some people use like drone services that will register for you. They will have some issues too. So we always want to go directly through the PSI for Part 107, of course, and then for us, make sure it's .gov.
Okay.
Did that come through? Because it's really acting crazy.
Oh yeah, it did come through. And I love how everything is on one place now with Drone Zone.
And the drone zone is improving because I mean, I know that it can be cumbersome to use, and we see a lot of little glitches here and there, but we're constantly trying to improve upon that. So just in input, we love your input. So don't hesitate to. That's the great thing about the CTI program. And I know Wing, you had it on the slide, I believe, but Ken, Southwestern is also part of the new collegiate training initiative.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
If no one else has a question, I do have a follow-up question. I don't know. I'll let someone else talk.
Yeah, I just put a link to the Drone Zone in the chat. And oh, did Jerry have something to say? Or
yeah, Wayne, I just have a quick question. I find this really interesting, and I would really like to get involved in it and start the certificate coursework. How intensive is the training? Is the coursework? You know, I'm pretty old, and I'm wondering, like, how realistic is it for me to take 3 classes per semester? Can I extend it out, take 1 class or 2 classes per semester? I think you have a pretty good idea of where I am. What is your advice?
I think it depends on what is the objective. Like some of our students want to get their certificate ASAP because they already have something lined up. So they would take like 3 classes a semester. But really, even taking the 3 classes a semester isn't that difficult to do because some of the classes, like for example, Sean's class on Part 107 is just 1 unit, 8 weeks. So yeah, so it's not overly intense, I would say.
Okay.
I can give you my interpretation. I'm another old fuddy-duddy, and looking at the video, I'm definitely older than everyone on the screen. So I found it not bad. Sean's class was a little labor intensive in reading just because I had so many other things going on. My wife and I own a veterinary hospital, and so that kind of takes away some from my time and stuff. But all in all, it was a good course. It really did help you to take the test, and it was kind of a breeze when I ended up taking the test. So that's my 2 cents. You can do it.
Okay, thanks.
I do have a follow-up question though for
Great.
anybody.
Thank you.
There's like these meetup groups that I just joined like last week, and they wanted to fly at Oceanside. Okay, I think they're finding out that maybe around the pier it's Class G and it's okay, but there's other lawsuits and things out there for just like the city regulations, and those things are extremely hard to find. Can you do this? Can you do that? Have you guys had any luck, or is there any avenue that makes it easier that I'm unaware of to actually find out if you can actually fly somewhere and not get, have an officer come over and say you're not supposed to fly here, other than just the FAA charts?
I'll let Sean answer that because that's a difficult question.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned too, Wing, was let's see if I just zoom in on Oceanside. At
Right off the pier,
visualize
I
it,
think.
the map that you showed, where you can and where you cannot fly right around those areas. What was the ultimate goal for you, Gene? The goal is just to fly around the Oceanside pier,
Well,
but
like I said, I just joined this group and I haven't flown with them, but I had the assumption that they wanted to fly and take some photos and stuff around the pier. And that short little confined area looked like it was okay, but I didn't want to put myself out there since I have my 107. And I don't know these people, and if I show up, I'm responsible for them. So I wanted to know what the city of Oceanside's laws and regulations were opposed to that, because I found out one article from 2017 that said you can't do it. You need to get a permit.
Yeah, the best thing to do there would be actually go to the City of Oceanside's website, right? And check and see where in that website lists about local drone laws.
Yeah.
And that's again that part of the thing that filters down where the Part 107 is great for the general broad aspect, but you still have to do your own research on the local.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
your best bet would go to the City of Oceanside.
Yeah, it wasn't straightforward. I was just wondering if you guys had any nice avenue or a website or something that you knew about to share. Oh, looks like someone's got his hand
No
up.
websites, but Roger has something.
Yeah.
I do. So, hi, Gene. I am in that group that you're talking about. We just flew on Saturday at Oceanside Pier. So I know that I did check airspace. I've been through Professor Figg's 107 class. I haven't taken the test yet. I've scheduled it for December. And I did due diligence, easy for me to say, on the airspace requirements, and it's a nice little pocket right there. It's just outside of all the Camp Pendleton restrictions that are in place. So as far as going to Oceanside, I didn't do any due diligence there. So I will fully admit I never visited the website or visited their website to check. My policy has been to this point, and you guys can correct me, as long as I'm flying in as safe a manner as possible, we're not flying over people, never ever over people, visual line of sight, all the other stuff that's going on there. Generally, I've just taken the tact of, if somebody comes over who is in a position of authority and tells me not to fly, I stop, I ground it, and I'm done for the day. But if that hasn't happened at Oceanside, I've been there 4 times now. Lifeguards come and go, they don't care. No city officials ever visit. We're right out in the public. We're not trying to hide anything and be as safe as possible. So from my point of view, we've managed to pull it off and gotten some amazing video and photographs as a result. So.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, like I said, I ran up to this article that said you needed to get a permit from Oceanside. So I started looking into it. But
I'd like to make a comment there. So before I came to the FAA in February, I actually was in local government and implemented a UAS program. And this is just something to consider. This is just kind of my advice, not FAA, but Diana advice is, don't hesitate to call the planning office or even the administrator's office, because sometimes, and I know where I came from, they would post, don't fly here, but there really was not an ordinance in place. They were just kind of that good practice, but we found that they were really cooperative when we would say, we want to fly here, this is when, and get their approval.
A lot of my hesitancy, and this is, I want to go out and I want to fly. My hesitancy to do any of that kind of stuff is because I don't want to be told no. So I know that I'm the obstinate child in this. So that's why I have been places, for example, I actually didn't know there was a restriction. We went to Lake Hodges to do a meetup. And then one of the park rangers drove by and said, no drones. And at that point, everybody comes down and we're done for the day, and no issues, nobody got ticketed or anything like that. So we just kind of called it no harm, no foul, and left, and we haven't been back. So I think it depends largely on where you go and how active people are. But I like your idea, Diana. If I were being more of an adult about it, I probably should call. I would
lie if I told you that there were times we just flew. And now that I've been within the FAA, they're like, don't tell us that. And I said, well, we never could figure out why we couldn't. Kind of like the original question, Gene. It's like, it seems like an airspace that we can fly. How come, they came out and told us no? And if it's just like local government, whether employees or whatever, but law enforcement, they actually, some areas, they do have that potential to fine you, and we don't want that to happen.
Sure. I want to go back to something Gene said, and this had occurred to me. And I don't know what is so I'm currently in the process of, hopefully getting my 107 license. What is my responsibility for those around me who I'm participating in? Gene mentioned going to a meetup and being concerned about flying next to recreational flyers who haven't been licensed. As a 107 pilot, what is my liability, if anything, on how they behave or act?
None, really.
Okay.
I think that, that's on them, not you. If you're Part 107 and you're, the commercial flyer, if you're doing for business, yeah.
Just
I don't
make
know.
sure that they did not designate you as the remote pilot in command.
Right. It
Correct.
did say on the
Yes,
knowledge test on my studying for the recurrent knowledge test, it was mentioned that you're responsible for everyone there, even if they're not in your group. It didn't make the designation if it was like recreational, but I assume the way it said you're responsible for everyone, even if it's not in your group, then yes, you are responsible. And that was in one of the tests that I took just a couple of days ago for the recurring knowledge test.
So we would have that, the pilot in command, we were all working for a county government. So yes, if they could fly, if whoever the Part 107 leader, the PIC, they could be flying under his, their training and that type of thing. There's a little gray area there. So I hear what you're saying. It does get confusing, but depending on what, I guess, the project is, what you're flying for, who.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're flying under Part 107 rules, right, then you need someone with a Part 107 as a remote pilot in command. And so if you are designated as a remote pilot in command because you have the Part 107 and the recreational flyers in your group don't, then whatever the recreational flyers did wrong, you're going to be on the hook for that. But on the other case, right, on the other hand,
Yes.
if they're operating under remote pilot or operating under recreational rules, then they are responsible for their own actions. Just because you're in the near proximity doesn't automatically make you the remote pilot in command of all the pilots around you.
Yeah, that could have been my problem because, as a scuba diver, as a dive master, you're responsible for everyone on whose life and property on that beach. So if they die and they drown, you're held responsible.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a little different. And that was my first reaction when I came across that, was like, oh my goodness. So it's like, I didn't want to put myself out there.
Yeah.
Just say, I don't know. I've never seen them before in my life. I don't know who they are.
That's good. That's good. Makes me feel better. It's good. I'm glad you said that.
Well, we've
Because
had
now, yeah, go ahead, Roger.
the organizer and I we've been concerned about that, in that, we put these meetups together, and this last Saturday we had 5 or 6 pilots come out, and a couple of 107s, but most recreational. And, we've been concerned about potential liability in that, we're basically just saying, show up and fly. You're on your own. You take responsibility for your actions and for your flight. But we have talked about that, she and I, and so we've been a little bit, I don't know what that means. I don't know how we fix that. I don't know how we reduce liability. Neither one of us want to take liability. We're out there on our own, flying our own missions. So we just kind of all said, hey, let's all get out there and do this thing together. But we're not flying or giving anybody advice or telling anybody how to fly or do their own thing. So
I'm gonna rephrase what I think you all have asked, and I'll dig deeper, and I'll, Wing, do you know everybody that's on here, or can you get an email, or I can send it to you? So you're in a group, an association, and you had a meetup to go somewhere to fly together. A couple of you are Part 107, the others are recreational flyers, correct?
That's right. And we're not, it's not, I wouldn't even call it an association. I mean, it's just basically a meetup group.
Like a club.
Yes, but no dues, no membership requirements, no signups, none of that. It's basically, hey, we're going to be over here. If you guys want to show up, feel free, kind of thing.
And you're flying, and everybody's flying their own drone, or you all swapping around drones?
Nobody swaps. Nope, nobody swaps. Everybody's flying their own drone, or we get people that show up just to see it because they've never flown. That's how I got started with it. I didn't have a drone at the time. I went out to this thing to check it out. So but nobody, as far as I know, nobody swaps. I've never seen that.
Well, and I think even if you did, that shouldn't be a big issue. But no, I really don't think there would be any responsibility on you at all. But I'm going to double check because I don't have all the answers, that's for sure. But I'm learning as I go.
Makes me
And I-
feel really good. That's good information.
Yeah,
I
thanks,
imagine
Dana.
as long as everyone has insurance, then you're really,
Well, that's
covered.
another thing. I mean, I'm flying with insurance now, but I don't know. I doubt everybody in the group is. So, and we don't require it. We don't put it on the website like you should have insurance. But we're really trying to keep as little hands-on as possible, and still have people who are interested in it show up. Basically, we don't fly under AMA. We don't do any of that. I mean, we're not a club. We're not an association for that practical purpose.
Yeah. Well, to go back to Gene's original question, there are two resources that I may be able to refer you to regarding the local regulations. So I know there's a group at the University of California that has been doing a lot of research on drones. And I think they had some undergraduate students go research every single city and their local ordinances regarding drone operations and try to map it out. But I can't find that website right now. So I can try emailing that person, and if I can get that information, I can send it to you guys. But even then, I've seen that map like once or twice, but it doesn't mean that is up to date because local ordinances change all the time. But that could potentially be a resource. Now, the second resource I want to refer you and Roger to is, and I need to ask Diana, would the FAST team be a good source of information, these FAST team representatives from the FAA? Because they're scattered all over the country.
They are, you have to realize though that the FAST team, and that's the safety team, they are used to the manned world. They are available though to you, like for your region, to answer any questions, and they will find the correct answer through whoever the UAS experts are. But yeah, that's a good resource. Again, it may not be an instant answer, but they will definitely, connect you with the right people.
Yeah, because there are some of these FAST team members that are like in San Diego and more local to the area that you're in. So they may know more about the local ordinances.
Yeah, we're trying to pull together information. We have a term called a drone pro from that team. And once that is out there, it'll be easy access to say, here, I want to call this person, either answer a question or help you with the event. But yeah, that's a good resource.
That's great information. Is that like fastteam.gov or what is it?
I put that in the chat window.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I mean, you can see there are some representatives like from Encinitas or Valley Center. So that they may be a good resource, even if they're not drone experts. They may refer you to the right people rather than going through the general information FAA website and then you get like cycled through like 15 people or something.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of numbers and dot numbers, and it goes on and on, acronyms. So earlier you were showing the Lance, how to go into that. And I really look forward to seeing that grow. We have a lot of what we call Lance providers that what their focus is ground up instead of air down. And so if there is something in the area areas you don't need to be flying, then it'll pop right up and it'll say, no, this, you can't fly here and here's why.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, the only thing I didn't really like about some of the new rules were requiring you to fly it at AMA. And I know as a quadcopter, some of the fixed wing people kind of frown on you. And then of course there's another fee associated with that on top of the fee that you need to pay to support this system, but this is not all determined yet. So I'm not going to get into it on my soapbox, but.
Well, Gene, I think that was a bigger problem before they came out of lands for recreational flyer, because there was a phase where they didn't have lands implemented for recreational flyer yet. So then if you want to operate in the controlled airspace, then you have to operate in the community-based organization flying site, which is also in that FAA facility map. So AMA would be one of those. But now, since they have implemented land for recreational flyers, even if as a recreational flyer, you want to fly in controlled airspace, you just need to submit a lands request. You don't have to go to those FAA recognized commercial or community-based organization sites.
Yeah, it is needed. But yeah, that's good information. But I like, there are just some things, unless I read it wrong, that was kind of a hefty bit to read. It wasn't easy reading, that's for sure.
I'm sure Sean has read all of it. You can just ask him.
But
hey, Wayne.
Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, I'd like to ask another question about the program itself, if that's okay.
Sure.
So how does it normally go? Do students start through the cert program, the 2 semesters, and then do they normally finish that and then the associate's degree part of it before they get their professional pilot license, or can you go through some of the classes and then how does that normally, what's the path normally?
Yeah, that's a great question. We encourage students to try to get their Part 107 license probably in the first semester or even second semester, because the sooner you get your Part 107 license, the sooner you can operate on your own when you take the more advanced drone classes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
so
perfect.
you're encouraged to take Sean's Part 107 class, right, in your first semester in the program. So then you can go take the Part 107 exam either in that same semester or the semester just immediate following that. So.
Okay, and then you advance your skills advance as you move along through the coursework.
Yep, and you'll have more opportunity to operate on your own because now you have your Part 107.
Great. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And I'll be sending you guys a follow-up email of the recording access directions. Okay,
thank you.
Excellent. Thanks.
Happy
Good to meet you, everybody, and 2 of my former graduates. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that Sean, he's a kind of hard professor there.
Yeah, sure. All
it was
right,
fun.
thanks
It was
again,
great.
everyone.
It's nice to put a face to the name.
Excellent. Take care, everyone.
All right.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.